Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. We're looking at Mike's XL-101. This one has no spark, according to the email. Yeah. Watch your video on repairing a 101. I have one of those, but currently has no spark. Thought it might be the coil. Was able to find one off another 101. After watching your video, I see there could be multiple problems causing no fire. Make a long story short, is it possible I could send you my saw? So, this is a complete, well, quasi-complete coil that somebody has obviously been using an atom chip with, and I would say the wire itself needs replaced. But I'm not going to go down that road just yet. We're going to see if we can make what's on here work. I think we've done enough videos on these ignition systems to note that there are a multitude of problems, and a lot of times cleaning the points can be just enough to get one of these back going. It just depends on how long it's been sitting, how it's been stored, all that good stuff. So let's get in here and see what we've got. I'd love to accidentally have an easy one. Alright, I guess let's get the spark plug out and just see what we've got. Looks like it might already have a new spark plug in it. Close enough to new. Just for grins, I'm going to check it for spark. Not because I think there's going to be any, but if there was a damaged wire or something like that, sometimes a little shipping rattle is enough to rattle it loose. Alright, don't do that. Stone cold nothing. Nada. Not even an attempt. So it could be the coil. I mean, visual inspections don't mean squat on these. But visually speaking, this doesn't look that bad. Coil gap might be a tiny bit excessive here. We can adjust it. I don't think that's what the problem is. We shall see. Let's go ahead and get that flywheel out of the way, and we'll just see what everything looks like on the bottom side. And as I say in all of my videos where you guys see me using this puller, no, it's not available. Not something you can run out and buy. You gotta get the generic one. Custom Chainsaw Parts sells it. It's a steel plate, comes with a bunch of screws and the jack screw in the center. The difference is you've got to take the flywheel pawls out and use those studs for mounting the puller. That's all that's available these days. If I ever get a hankering, which please nobody hold their breath, yes, I'm well aware I could take this to a shop and have them machine something up, but I got other irons in the fire. Okay. All relatively clean compared to some of what I've dealt with. I can't complain about the cleanliness of this saw at all. Yeah. Alright. Let's get in here and see what everything actually looks like. I'm not the first person to have been in here. There's enough wear on these screw marks and even this screw on the coil. This has been accessed multiple times over this saw's life. And there's a little bit of oil in here. See that? That's not the greatest thing. I'm wondering, well, I'm not going to assume anything. What I'm going to attempt to do is get those points out and file them. The condenser's not swollen. That's usually the surefire way of a visual inspection. Beyond that, a condenser, it's a crapshoot. Fortunately, with it disconnected the way I've got it here, we can also test it. Now, a regular ohm meter is not what you need. You need something that will measure microfarads. And I may or may not be pronouncing that properly. But that's what the capacitance of a condenser is measured in. So that doesn't come on your run-of-the-mill Walmart or Harbor Freight standard little test meter. Okay, got those out. So I bought a nice Fluke. That symbol right there in the yellow, that is what you need in order to test a capacitor. Now we're just going to see what this thing comes up to. That's close. I'd have to go to the manual and double check. A range of 0.2 to 0.24 is typically what I see for a Homelite condenser. So I'm going to keep that in mind. This is just a little bit on the high side. So if I clean these points and we still don't get anything, I am liable to assume that that's where the problem lies. But that point surface doesn't look all that great. Doesn't look super burned. It's not pitted, I take that back. But there's a nice layer of something there. I don't think that was making electrical contact. Now this style is nice. You can get the block off of here. It'll make filing that a hell of a lot easier if I can avoid losing any of the parts. There we go. Yeah, a whole hell of a lot easier. Cleaning will be easier too. This would be really neat if this worked. Because sometimes it does. And I'd love to be able to show you guys one where it did. Okay. This is starting to clean up pretty nice. And I'm not going for brand new. Just trying to keep this straight. Okay. Still a little bit there. This is about as exciting as watching paint dry. But you saw what it was before. You know how nice and shiny it is now. It's not 100%. I'm not aiming for 100% on this. So I don't want to take too much off. And you might be going, well, why the hell would you even bother? Well, this is a good skill to have because there are a lot of saws where you can't get points. Not condensers. Well, those are getting hard to find too for some saws. But if you can't get points, and the old ones are there, you got to clean them up. I mean, think about the old ignition systems in automobiles. You know, that used to be a common thing. Clean up your points. Replace the condenser. Get quite a bit more mileage out of it. I know my dad talked about that. A lot of different rigs that he had. And that's why this tungsten file is so small, or so thin. It's meant to actually file, points on it while it's still installed in a distributor. Now, obviously the chainsaw doesn't have a distributor, but still, the tungsten file, pretty strong. It can be thin like this, and you shouldn't be able to break it. And so far I haven't broke it, so. Okay. That's clean enough to see if this is going to work. Slip that back on. And I'm just looking to make sure that I don't see a bunch of daylight between the two halves to show that I screwed up too badly. And it's fitting nice and tight. That washer doesn't feel good when it slides underneath your fingernail, though. See if we can do this without sending that spring clip flying. Oh, don't you start with me, punk. There we go. Alright. Say, I don't know. This might work. It might not. It might not. But it's worth an initial try. Get this point strap back behind everything, because that's your order. Then those leads. Now this is the part that's really cutesy fun, is trying to line all this back up. I'm just being lazy because I don't want to take all that out. And in reality, it's only a couple more screws, but I don't want. It's that simple. I don't want to. With this round screwdriver, I have just enough angle here to still grip the slot and not screw it up. Okay. Screw those points back down. Okay. Little OCD kicking in here. My screwdrivers were out of order. Can't have that. This would be cool if this works. You guys have heard me so many times say, well, of course it didn't work because it's on video. Wouldn't it be nice, just once? You go, hey, it actually worked. We'll see. A few shortments. Alright. Get this to the top of the crank lobe there. Center gap. Gap is set at 0.015. Which typically is done with a feeler gauge. I'm eyeballing this, and I know I have it right, but basically I want to get this together without consuming too much video time and test it. Capture that points lead under the cover here so it doesn't get jacked up. Okay, moment of truth. Where's my... There it is. Right behind the camera where I couldn't see it. Handy dandy tester. Try to turn it that way so that you guys can see too what's cooking or what isn't. Damn it. I put this in the grill. God damn you. Couldn't behave just to test that. Figures. Now, I'm going to get this where I can actually do something. And it doesn't look like I'm going to luck out. Not a thing. Not a thing at all. So, unfortunate, yes. End of the world, no. Put away that file. Because there's other things that we need to do to test this thing. Damn you. These little things have a weak point. I'm not going to mess with it right now, but that spring likes to fall out after the back of the tab has broken here. That's definitely the Chinese engineering there. Planned obsolescence. Buy a new one every 5 freaking minutes. Which doesn't sit well with me. Come on, I'm not in the mood for this. You dipshit. Come on. I already put this one back together a couple times. Whatever. I'll worry about it later when the camera's not rolling. This shouldn't be as tight this time. Since I put it on good enough to turn it the right way here. There we go. No hammer needed this time. So now what do we do? This coil, is that a soldered? It is. This is the one that the guys at Homelite like to solder the damn leads on. This is a, it is a Weco coil. It's the only one I know of that for some reason that points lead is soldered. So we could test it with we could put an atom chip on it. Trying to think of what we can do without making too much of a mess and taking too terribly much time. That's some of my old junk. It does not have a condenser in it. And that new coil didn't have a condenser in it. My point is I don't want to throw away a good coil. I really, really don't. So we'll take a minute here. To do this in a way that we can get some answers. Points lead has a forked end. pull that out, not damaging the lead. Now I should be able to fish that. Okay. Alright. Man, that upper screw looks like poo. Now I keep one of these things on hand for testing purposes. Just like this. Now, can I need to get that grounded out. Man, that screw looks absolutely terrible. If I actually get this out. Huh, okay. Before I'm done, that's getting replaced because that just looks like 10 shades of crap. Now that can, oh good. There we go. So this is the modern day version of the Atom ignition module. You can get those on eBay. I don't know if it's a Sten's part or who actually makes it, but it's a reproduction of the Atom. And that works pretty well. I don't like to... If I can get the right parts, I will restore a saw to its original function. If I can't, I'll use one of these. Now this is going to be a little tricky. I need a good connection. That's good enough. I don't want it to ground out. Okay. Obviously, if we were doing this for a permanent installation, we'd do it a hell of a lot better, but I just want to check it. I want to make sure the coil itself is good. If it's not, we're going to go to the one that's in the box. If it is, I'm going to get out a condenser, if I have one. If I don't have one, I'll order one. Because I am completely confident that the points are good. They're filed up pretty nice. Alright, now can I get this? I need to see this. Get a good connection. And make sure that none of this loose wiring goes kablooey. That's actually not encouraging. Ah, damn it. You gotta be kidding me. Yeah. What? Alright. Telling you, they know. Every damn time I start a video, it's like, oh, Dad's on the video. I'm getting nothing. Nothing at all. So I actually do think this coil's bad. It's either that. Suppose we ought to do our due diligence to make sure it's not the switch. Now, of course, that has to stay out in the open where it's not grounded against something. Hold on. Is this not making a good connection? Because I saw some brief sparks there. I know better than to do this, but I'm going to try it anyway. God damn it. I don't want to waste a zip tie just to hold that up in place, but if I guess if I have to, I will. Well, that's interesting. not jumping the 1/4 inch gap for beans. Fire in the plug. Okay. So it'll fire the plug, but only once in a while will it jump a 1/4 inch gap. I'm going to assume that this coil actually isn't any good, or that it's weak on its way out the door. And a coil that struggles to jump the gap when it's cold like this, when it gets hot, it's probably not going to be worth a diddly dog shit. So, what are we going to do? Other than make this video way too long. I think I'll get my test module the hell out of here, and we will replace this coil with the one that came in the box. And we'll see what happens. I will hook it up to the existing points and condenser, assuming that it hasn't been butchered. If the wiring's been butchered, we may just run the module that came with it and abandon the points and condenser in place. So where the hell did I put that? Right here. And let's just take a peek at what we have. Ugh. Yep, that's been butchered. And this has a true atom module on it. So I guess that's what we're going to run. And there's even some screws that don't look all jacked up. Okay. So, we need to take the flywheel off one more time. And I'm going to try cheating. We've had this off enough times. And I'm going to try a trick that a purist would scream about. I don't care, it worked. You saw how lightly I tapped that. I was on the nut. I didn't run it down over the threads. There we go. That's a shame that that wiring is butchered, but again, it's soldered in place down here, and I'm not interested in screwing around with that. I'm interested in getting spark on this module, so we're going to abandon that in place. I'm going to tighten that screw back up so that it never rattles out. This is how a shop would have done it back in the day. They'd actually just cut that wire. They would never pull the flywheel. Because that's what's been done to this other coil here. Alright, so we'll abandon that in place. Let's get this other coil mount off. That screw isn't the prettiest looking either. I think we might use both of the ones that came in the bag. Now this wire is all wrapped up in tape. I'm not screwing around with that. That's trash. So I'm going to unscrew it. We're going to replace it. Now they don't always come out that easy. That was actually pretty nice. Let's see if we can get this one to come, because I want to use this wire. This one looks good. There we go. 2 in a row. Now if I can thread it on, I don't have to screw with pulling that boot or anything. So that's what I'm going to go for. I want to air hose this off real quick. Okay, let's just see how they had this. Probably like that. Each one's a little different. You can be able to clear. Yep. Okay, we'll try that. That's probably what they did. Alright. Get this other one started before we're too far along here. And we'll hope that this module was good. Just because it's advertised as good, we all know, doesn't necessarily mean a thing. Alright, we'll leave that coil loose so that we can set our flywheel gap. And hopefully that's the last time I have to screw with that. Where the hell did that nut go? Right there still. Get trusty flywheel gap setter here. Never failed me. Until the paper gets torn up and I have to replace it, but you know, that's beside the point. Okay. Moment of truth. Do we have spark? I guess it would help. Oh, it is on now. Shit, which way is which on that thing? Doesn't matter, I don't have the kill switch hooked up. Doesn't matter. See that? That's good. That's good. That's all we needed right there. This switch is a generic, so I don't know which way he is on or off because the data plate's wrong, and I'm gonna have to change out this end in order to hook up the kill switch because the blade is a little bit bigger than that. But there we go. We've got spark at least, so the rest of this ought to be fairly easy to get her running. Probably a carb kit. I can't see the fuel hose. But I'm assuming it's going to need it. Hopefully this isn't one of the leaky tanks. Yeah, there's a... Yeah, someone's replaced it, but man, that's a crunchy old thing. We'll probably end up replacing that too, but anyhow, that's probably about all it's going to take to get it running, is go through the fuel system now. Yeah, I like to keep one of those modules on hand because that saved me from throwing a new condenser on there. Granted, they're not that expensive. They're certainly cheaper than if you managed to find a coil, but it would have been a waste of a part. Because if the module won't fire it like it was doing here, and I know that module's good, I keep it here to do just that kind of a test. it's useful to have on hand for that. If you work on a lot of saws that have points, it is worth having one of those purely as a tester to eliminate problems. You know, start with filing the points. If you can test the value of the condenser, great. If you still don't have spark, it's worth it to wire that module in to just check your coil, and that way you know you're not double, you know, you're not guessing your work that you've already done. So anyway, with any luck, the next time we see this saw, it's going to be with a test run.